Okay, Sami Zatari, this is a reply to your recent video, probably not very recent actually, it's last year, but never mind, about your open challenge to all atheists to disprove God. I just want to first start my video off by saying you asked for it, so here it comes. My argument will come from everything in the Bible that has been disproved since the Bible was written, since science really gathered some steam. Um, First thing I want to touch on is that the Bible states that the Earth was the only heavenly body, the only body in space basically that was worth consideration. It didn't actually refer to it as space either. The Bible didn't even account for space. It accounted only for Earth. It also made the inference that the Earth revolves around the Sun revolves around the Earth. False. It didn't give us any knowledge as to the composition of the Moon. So we didn't know about that. It didn't acknowledge that the Sun was actually a star. Um, People didn't know what the Sun was back then, which is the reason why we know the Bible is definitely man-made, which is certainly an argument against God, because people take the Bible as the Word of God. If this is the genuine, true, translated Word of God, no matter whether it's come, if it's been translated by a human being, that's irrelevant. The fact is that if God is real, He doesn't seem to have a very good understanding of the universe that He apparently created. It also makes no indication as to the size of the universe at all. The Bible's obsessed with buggery. It's obsessed with cattle. It's obsessed with rape. It's obsessed with gang rape. It's obsessed with murder. It's obsessed with basically the daily lives of nomads. Coincidentally, these people, the Semitic tribes, are the people who invented the shit in the first place. What else would I like to go into here? There are a few other things. The Bible didn't talk about chemistry. The Bible didn't talk about physics. The Bible didn't talk about biology. It didn't talk about evolution, which has now been proven as a fact, which in itself is one statement which I could use to completely disprove the existence of God. The fact that He doesn't mention evolution in any of it and states that man was created in the blink of an eye, which is completely untrue and has been proven to be on several different occasions. Evolution's also been proven on the genetic level as well. There's evidence here that's impossible to ignore. Also, philosophers have actually disproved religion by looking at the arguments for it and basically taking them apart and showing you how circular they are. For instance, a person would refer to a passage in the Bible. Someone would ask them to prove it, and they would say, well, the proof is here in the Bible, but the Bible's man-made. But they would go back to the Bible and say something else, take out another quote to draw a comparison from that. However, the fact is, if the Bible's man-made, then none of it should really be used as a reference point, because it's clearly bollocks. If it's man-made and there's proof against it, it's what we call a hoax, a lie, some bullshit, a fictional story, some crap that you teach to your kids to keep them scared so that they'll behave them fucking selves. It's bullshit, basically. Other things. I mean, there's a million other things that I could go into. If I take a second, I can probably figure out a few ones that have been bothering me lately. Yeah, this whole thing about the moral account, the fact that people get their morals from God, they couldn't have done because God doesn't exist. But that's neither here nor there for the moment. The Bible, the morals put forth in the Bible are very basic. They're not. I mean, they're pretty black and white statements that they make at the same time. They kind of challenge reason, really. I mean, thou shalt not kill is fairly straightforward. It's a pretty obvious one. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbour's wife is one that bothers me because, sometimes, and it happens all the time in the world, you get tell all these people that are going to hell. There's some people who, had a thing for their neighbour's wife. Basically, I mean, had a thing for a guy's wife, and they've ended up in a relationship as a result of that, and they've ended up really happy. And the guy who was married to this girl who's now off with some other guy has ended up happy too because she's, maybe found someone else who was even better than the guy she was married to in the first place. There's loads of cases like that. Happens all the time. I have absolutely no disagreement with about that whatsoever. However, the Bible seems to. It's a book that was written 2,000 years ago, and it seems to talk about modern issues as if it knows something about them. The Bible was written in perspective thousands of years ago. It's not relevant to today because we have evolved, and genuinely think that we have evolved. I think at least our brains have evolved, our moral systems have evolved, our social structure has evolved, and to base human civilization as it stands now in around one fucking stupid book. It's just ridiculous. I mean, even people who genuinely believe don't hold themselves accountable to those things in the Bible because they couldn't. It's impossible. You're asking too much of people. You're asking them to give up the things that they like, the things that they need psychologically. But the Bible's obsessed with condoning abstinence. It's obsessed with not letting people have sex. Sex is a natural thing. Lust is a natural desire. Allow yourself to feel that natural desire. It's not a bad thing. If lust was a bad thing, then we would find some other, non-lustful way to reproduce. But the reason why we haven't is because we didn't come from God. Because if we did, we were born sick and we're asked to be better. We're told to get better. We were born with sexual lust, and then we're told that it's wrong. We're told we need to get over it, and we're told that we can't do that. We're born, with temptation, and we're told that we're wrong. We're born sinners, and we're told that we're wrong. We're born sinners, and we're instructed not to do the things that we get enjoyment out of. I'm not saying that we should murder people. I'm not saying that we should rape people. Definitely not, because obviously, the person who would condone that sort of thing obviously has no moral compass whatsoever. But wait a minute, in the Bible, God condones rape. God condones the rape of some dude's daughter. As far as I remember, I think it was in Sodom. Some priest came to visit the place. Guys started knocking on this dude's door, of the door of the place that the priest had been invited into, so that they'd asked to know the guy in the biblical sense. In other words, they wanted to fuck him up the ass. And then the guy at the door, the guy who owned the house, said, "Well, I'd really rather you didn't bum fuck my guest and gang rape him, but here, have my two daughters. Gang rape the share of them all you want, but I'd really rather you don't bugger a strange man that I've never met in my life. But please, gang rape the share of my two daughters." I mean, fucking seriously. If that's not proof against God, I don't know what is. I mean, it's obvious that 90% of the Bible, no, actually 100% of the Bible didn't happen. Fuck it. I'll go the whole hog. The 100% didn't fucking happen. Show me some proof that Jesus existed. Show me some proof that God existed. Show me some proof that Muhammad, no, actually Muhammad did exist. We have historical accounts of that, and they lie outside the Bible. It's certainly someone that existed. However, we don't have any proof that Jesus existed. We don't have any proof that Mary Magdalene existed. We don't have any proof that any of the apostles existed. None of them whatsoever. But none of the relics, no other reference in history. The Romans don't cite them in any references because the Romans made up religion. It was based on the local religions around at the time, but they never known about Jesus. That whole fucking legend was around there before they'd ever even conquered the area. That was something they were dealing with before it even happened. People felt vulnerable and they made up stories. There's a lot of conflict going on, so they made up the Jesus story. Or they fabricated it around a story that sort of already roughly existed. But, realistically speaking, there is no proof for religion, for God. So therefore, we shouldn't have to disprove God. If there's no fucking proof for God, why should we even make any effort to disprove it? The fact that there's no proof is has a disproving effect in itself. The fact that there's all this proof, for forces working in the universe other than God, and there's a mountain of it, and the fact that there's no proof for God, one would generally tend to go with the proof. So, the argument about disproving it, you don't really have to, because, you can't really disprove that there is not really any gravity, or gravity doesn't really have the effect that we say it does. Well, no, you can't disprove it, because you'd have to know more about the universe than, anybody else possibly could. In other words, it's a non-argument. So, that's my proof to disprove God. That's what I would say disproves God. The fact that there is fuck all evidence for the existence of a God. There never has been any evidence. And let's be honest, books do not count. Because if the book is not based on solid evidence, if it's based on the statements of people that were made thousands of years ago and edited and re-edited and hashed and rehashed, etc., on and on and on for years before the book was ever actually officially released, and when it was officially released, it's probably edited anyway, and there's still some fucking arguments going on now about which gospels should be apocryphal and which gospels should be canonized, and then there's saints who are being constantly added and all this crap. Let's be fucking honest. It's all bullshit. Let's be really straight. It's all bullshit. Because there's no proof for it. There's no proof for it, then that's a proof against it. The fact that there's no proof for it works against the case in the first place. So therefore, that's my statement, basically. It took me a long while to get here, but that's my final statement. There's no proof for God. That's a proof to disprove him in the first place. If there's no proof for something, you can't say it's real. You really fucking can't. It's impossible.